we're back. It's Michelle over at Hesketh Emporium and Hesketh Handmade, and today you'll find me in my winery slash apothecary slash, I don't know, where I make stuff, okay? Except sewing, not sewing stuff, other stuff. Today what we're here for is making Eczema Body Salve. Now this recipe has been compiled and designed specially by me for my hubby, and this salve is absolutely amazing for soothing any skin irritations as well. So if you've got eczema or bad dry skin, if you have a scrape or a scratch, I put this on. Burns, only after it started healing, people. Don't put anything on a burn other than what your doctor or your nurse says. But once it starts to heal and scabs over and you get that horrible pull dry skin underneath, then you can put it on, obviously. But not a very deep burns, you know, that go with the doctor's recommendations. This is just purely my information that I use it for. So, oh yes, apron. So the apron I'm wearing, those of you who belong to Handmade, which is our community sewing group in Wigan, will recognize this. Oh, it's not Christmas yet, but so what, you know what? We need small pleasures right now during COVID and lockdown. So I'm wearing this. Let me just hoist myself up. This is the one I made at Handmade as an example to show everybody. So yes, lovely apron. Hello. Oh, look here. Hubster's arrived with my bee mug. Thank you, hubby. With a cup of tea. Thank you. Lovely, lovely. I will put this over here and then we will get started. So, just in case you don't know much about us over here at Hesketh Emporium and Handmade, I love to make anything and everything. I'll try it once at least, okay? And I make all our own soap, washing powders, dishwashing tablets, oh gosh, you name it, salves, soaps, hand lotions, body lotions, anything that you can basically make for yourself at home, we make ourselves. Cleaning products, so we don't really buy much from the shops. We try and keep things as natural as possible. And this recipe is designed, as I say, by me. The ingredients are optional. You can change them around. However, if you fancy making this, I can send you the recipe. And if you don't have the ingredients during lockdown and you're like me, you can't wait for stuff because you're too impatient, then obviously you can come and give me a shout out, and I can maybe put together a little pack for you with all of the ingredients in, and I can just tell you how much it costs, plus a little bit extra for delivery fees and things like that. But yes, let's get started making salve. So if you've never made anything like hand salve or body butters, creams and things, then you will be amazed at how easy it can be, especially if you start off with something like a salve, which doesn't require any ingredients to keep it from going moldy or stale or for anything like that, because it's purely oils. Now, quickly, lotion is anything with more than 20% water or liquid. So that could be water. I use tea quite often, especially for lotion for hubby. I put chamomile tea in. So that is 20% is a lotion. Anything less than 20% and up to about 10% is normally a cream. And if it's less than 10%, then it's a body butter or a salve. Now my salve has got zero water in it. Nothing in it has got water, so this cannot go off. It will not go moldy because it's purely oils. So the lovely thing is you can keep it in your cupboard. It may melt a little during summer if you've got really hot summers, and so you would keep it in the fridge if you wanted to, but really we don't have that problem in the UK very often. So we don't have a problem at all with keeping it in the cupboard. So, Eczema Salve. you are going to need coconut oil. So what I do is I grab all my ingredients in my tray out of the cupboard for one recipe at a time. And then I bring them over to my workstation, which is in the winery. We are going to need all of the ingredients we'll go through in a second, a scale. So I'm using a biggish scale today, and I'll show you why in a bit. We need things to mix and to push the ingredients off the spoon, because all of them are kind of tacky. Little pot for the mango butter. I'll show you that in a bit. If you want, you can use a tiny little scale, which these are like jewelry scales, and that will measure very small grams, 0.1 gram, etc. In addition to that, we need, I've got a little stove, an induction hob, specifically in the winery just for this type of thing, and a pot with some water in. That is just going to be like a double boiler. And for my actual oils, I have this beautiful vintage, I've got a set of these, which are lovely because it's got a pouring spout on it as well. And that goes on top of my stainless steel pot, and that is where I will be melting my ingredients. In addition to that, this video will be in 2 parts, because once I've actually melted all of the ingredients together, I put it into my Kenwood Chef's bowl, and you need one of these sort of balloon whisks, and that is because I'm going to beat it until it creates like a really whipped cream meringue, and then I put it into the tins. But it's got to get cold and almost starts to set before we do that. So that's what we're going to need that for. Now, if you don't have that, you can just pour it straight into the tin and use it as it is. There isn't a problem with that, but I like it to be that moussey sort of soft, fluffy consistency, which is why. The other thing we need is tins or bottles, if you don't have any, all recycled. So these tins, I can't even tell you how many times I've reused them. They're just lightweight tins, and the salve goes into those. I've got a few of them there. Before I start making, I use my isopropyl alcohol, so that's 99% alcohol, and I am going to spray my tins. Even though I mentioned that, you know, this won't grow mold or anything on it because it's pure oils, we still need to be nice and clean and safe. So before I started, I used my World Health Organization hand sanitizer, and I sanitized my hands. I've got a clean apron on, and I keep my surfaces all clean before I start. Very important when you're doing any products like this at home. So here's my spray. I'm just going to give each of these now clean, newly washed items a spray. Then what will happen is the alcohol will just evaporate and they'll be dry by the time I come to actually pour my salve into those. So those are just going to be set aside until we need them in the second part of the video. Right, ingredients. Let's go through the list. We need 50 grams of coconut oil. That is a solid oil. So don't get confused when you find it arrives, if you buy it, or you buy it at the shops or wherever, and it's actually solid. It goes, there's 2 types of coconut oil. One goes soft or runny at a lower temperature than the other. But the coconut oil you'll get in the UK most of the time, it's going to be fairly solid. In summer it'll get softish, but it won't probably melt. Now this you can cook with as well, all edible, so excellent stuff. Right, coconut oil, 50 grams. Next on our list is sweet almond oil, 50 grams as well. So I've got my liquid sweet almond oil in a bottle. Jojoba, it's jojoba oil, and that's possibly the most expensive ingredient in this recipe, and that is 20 grams of that. Then we have shea butter, and that's the majority of the ingredients, is 150 grams of organic, well, any shea butter, you know, whatever you can find really, but that's there. 30 grams of mango butter. Now the mango butter we're treating a little bit differently, and I'll tell you why when we get to it. So those are all the oils that we're going to put together in the first phase of this. One thing that I will put in that's probably different to anybody else who wants to use this recipe is propolis. Now we've got bees, so we get propolis from the beehives. It has wonderful healing properties, and I like to put it into Mark's Salve. Now, I'm not sure about quantities. I'm just playing around with it at the moment, and also how to incorporate it, because I don't want to put it into water. You can't melt the stuff very easily. It's really, really sticky. It's got resin and stuff in from trees and whatnot, whatever the bees bring in. And so what I've tried is I've taken alcohol and I've actually poured it onto the propolis. Now, you can see that brown gunky stuff in the bottom is the solid plant matter and resin and everything else. But the good ingredients from the propolis are now in the alcohol base. So I put in a couple of tablespoons, I think, of that. 10 grams in here, plus 100 milliliters of alcohol. That's how I've made that. So that's the first set of ingredients ready to go. The second set of ingredients, which can go in afterwards, except the vitamin E oil, which we can put in at the same time. So it's 2 grams of vitamin E oil, and then whatever essential oils you like. So this essential oils that I'm using, I have selected for their healing properties, their skin healing properties. Lavender, very common, and it smells really lovely. Tea tree, antiseptic, antimicrobial, all of those things, 7 drops of that. Rosemary essential oil, 7 drops of that. Chamomile, very soothing, so that's what that's for. And geranium, very good for helping you to heal. Now, those are the 5 essential oils that we're going to be using today. Quite honestly, you can do your own research and change it up as much as you like. You can put it on in there just basically because you like the smell. If you don't need it to be healing, you just need it to be soothing, as long as it is good for your skin and it can be externally applied. Remember, if you put it on your skin, it gets into your body. It'll get into your bloodstream through your skin. So whatever you can eat, you can generally put on your skin. So that's going to be safe. So there we go. I'm going to prop that up there. Have a sip of my tea. I'm going to put the stove on so we can get started with heating that up super quick. It's really quick. Put your pot or a bowl if you want to do them, because if you're a good chemist, you would do one ingredient at a time in a separate bowl and then add it to the pot. Because that way, if you make a mistake, you can take a bit of the ingredient out and you're not going to mess up your recipe. But because this recipe is all oils, really a little bit more of one and a little bit less of another is not going to make a huge difference. So tear your scale. That's the one thing your scale needs to be able to tear, or you need to use separate bowls. So you pop your pot onto there and get it back to 0 grams. So starting at the top, we will go just according to whatever the recipe says and whatever you've written it down. And we'll start off with 50 grams of coconut oil. So let's see. I haven't made this for a couple of months because it makes about 5 tins. And you get used to the consistency and the weight of the different types of ingredients. So you get quite good at guessing how many scoops you need of each one, or skatting het met die oog, as we say in South African. In Afrikaans. Right, so we're on 31 grams at the moment. So So it's a few tablespoons full. See, it's quite soft because we're in a warm, centrally heated house. That's 55, so I'm going to take a little bit out. Now that's okay because this is the only ingredient in here. Now if I'd done that with one of the others, you can see then I might not be able to scoop the correct ingredient out if I had done that. What I do now is I put the ingredients I've used to one side so that I know I've actually added it. Because I tell you what, if you get distracted by a child, a dog, the neighbor coming and knocking on the door, although that's not going to happen in lockdown, I wouldn't imagine, then you at least know that that ingredient is in and you know where you're up to. Next, sweet almond oil. 50 grams of sweet almond oil, that's a liquid. It's a very good base for all sorts of aromatherapies and lotions and salves and stuff like that. 41. My daughter will be looking at me saying, Mum, you're not doing that very well. You should be using a pipette or whatever and you'll get exact. She's like so particular being a scientist. Sorry, Serena. Right, we're on 49. There you go. Goes up to 50. That's the sweet almond oil. Next is the jojoba. This one I have to unscrew the top because when you do the plunge, it forms a vacuum inside. So tear. Don't forget to tear. 20 grams of jojoba. Let's try and do it so that it's open. No, it is not open yet. It'll be open. How do you open this thing? Okay. Right. I think we're there. Very scientific. How to open a tub. I think this generally squirts out 2 grams at a time. Look at that, 20. And then it goes to 21. I don't mind. Jojoba is one of the best ingredients in this recipe. Next is our shea butter. Now, remember I said the majority of our ingredients in this recipe is the shea butter. And that's going to take quite a bit. So get our scale back to 0. Oh, please tell me I've got 150 grams and I don't have to go and get the big tub out of the cupboard. Okay, let's see. Yes, I think I do. Mark, could you come and grab the other big tub of shea butter, please? I don't think I've got enough here. Let's see, we're up to 130 grams. I need another 20 grams. What a nuisance. Right, hubby digs that out of the cupboard.
What's it, shea butter?
Shea butter. It's the biggest bucket in the bottom there, please. And then we'll refill that one. So I tend to fill the smaller tub because it's easier for me to handle. Sweetheart, I just need 20 grams. Could you just bring the bucket over here for me? Thank you. My trusty assistant. Right, hold on. Stay there. 42. 46. There we go. We are good. Right. That's the shea butter. And the last ingredient we are not going to put in here. We are going to put this onto the stove. Put that on. Let's get the water to heating the pan. As soon as that's warm, this will start to melt. So put that onto a double boiler. If you haven't got a double boiler, do what I do and just use a pot with a bowl on it. And that'll work as well. But don't be tempted to put your pot directly on the heat. That's going to just cause problems. It'll get too hot too quickly. And you don't want to get it too hot because the natural properties and the good stuff in the oils, you know, you don't know what temperature it flashes off and stuff like that. So put it onto a double boiler. That's going to slowly melt. I've got myself a little spatula, which I will just prod it every now and again. This is much easier than lotion because I don't have to melt beeswax or any of those ingredients in this recipe. Right, final recipe ingredient that I'm going to need is mango butter. Now the reason we don't put mango butter into the pot straight away is because if you overheat mango butter, it goes a little bit grainy, and it doesn't affect the salve or anything at all. So if you do it by mistake and you dump them all in together, don't worry about it, it's fine. It might feel a little bit grainy, but it'll melt onto your skin just the same, and then it'll be gone. It's not like it's going to feel like sand. It just for a little longer feels a little bit less smooth when you're applying it. So what you do is you let the main ingredients all melt down, and as soon as they're warm, then you add in your mango butter. So I've got just a little tub separate to that one, which I am going to use to get 30 grams of mango butter. And mango butter is very heavy. It's very dense. And so you will find you actually need what feels like less than all the other ingredients, but it isn't. So that's 17 grams over there. Let's get that, and then, well, I never, 33, not too bad, 31. If you get some on your scales, you must remember that you've either got to use it or you've got to get rid of it and clean your scale. Otherwise, it will affect your quantities. So that's absolutely spot on. We are happy with that. So we'll put that one side, ready for when the pot is melted. So there we go with all of those ingredients. So the pot is already boiling. I'm going to turn that down. This one needs to go down to 80 degrees C, and that works out really well. It doesn't boil over. It doesn't tend to boil over anyway. I am going to, while that's going there, I'm going to add into the same tub, I'm going to tear it, I'm going to add my vitamin E oil. I'm going to put it together with the mango butter at the same time. 2 grams is not very much. It's a good splash. It's probably half a teaspoon, and I could measure it out. So set that aside, ready. Now, one of the things you can do, rather than do the drops of oil one at a time for later on, is while that's boiling, the water is boiling, not your oils, you can get yourself a little tiny little, I use like shot glasses, and I put all of my oils into one glass. So there you go. One thing I did forget was that. So excuse me while I lean over here and pick up a shot glass. Oh my, there you go. Right. Now these are all drops, so we don't need to worry about our scale anymore, so we can put that aside or just get rid of it for now. And I've got that. Most of my essential oils have got droppers in them, so I can measure them out quite effectively. 7 drops of lavender. As I said, this is purely to taste. You could drink it, I suppose. Don't. No, don't. This is something that's purely personal. This is what I've found seems to be good and soothing on the skin. So 7 drops of lavender oil. If you get 1 or 2 too many, it is not going to make any difference, I promise you. Set that aside. Tea tree, 7 drops of that. Next is rosemary, and 7, everything seems to have 7 except the geranium for some reason. Now Now you'll see some of the oils come out faster than the others, and that's the same as the lotions and, sorry, not the lotions, the ingredients that we've used. They all have different viscosities and different thicknesses, and that's absolutely the same with essential oils. And this chamomile, I think, oh gosh, that smells lovely. Really does. Do you know that? I've never noticed that before. It smells like Parma violets. Well, I never. There you go, 7 of that. Sorry, I got distracted by the thought of Parma violets. You can see? I missed the tub, so I'm going to put 1 extra drop in there. Chamomile. And then finally, 5 drops of geranium. There you go. Every now and again I change a couple of ingredients. I don't always use the same one. So rosemary is a recent addition, and I took something else out. Can't remember what, but it just smells glorious. So I'll bring the pot over here for you quickly while I am, just to show you, it's starting to melt. The water isn't boiling anymore. It just, the induction hob switches itself on and off constantly to keep the temperature at 80 degrees. And that for this is perfect. In fact, for most of my lotion making and stuff, that's what I use. So there you can see are all the ingredients slowly melting down. Some melt quicker than others. So what you're seeing in there is the shea butter, because the coconut oil is one of those that will melt the quickest. In South Africa, of course, tends to turn to a liquid in the higher temperatures. We have it in the kitchen, coconut oil, because we use it a lot in cooking. It's great for your hair, it's great for your skin, and all of that. So we're going to just let that carry on. If you're really impatient, you can pop the heat up a bit for a couple of seconds and let the water get a bit hotter, and then put it back to 80. But really try and just be patient and enjoy the process. Maybe this is something you could do new during lockdown, is make yourself a lovely salve. I mean, honestly, I'm not joking when I say how much I love this stuff. Anywhere that I feel is dry or uncomfortable or scratchy or, you know, just chafing, stuff like that, slap this on. The more the merrier. Now, how we use it here for hubby's hands is that he puts it on very thick at night, so it melts obviously into his hands, and he can't go to bed like that. So we have lots and lots of cotton gloves and silk gloves, and he wears silk gloves to keep the moisture and the ingredients from the salve on his skin at night. And that is, it's got the most softest, beautiful hands in them. I tell you what, it's so lovely, this stuff. I do love making salve and lotions and things, and I've missed it the last couple of months because I make 5 or so tubs at a time. It does last for a couple of months, but there you go. It's starting to, I'm just going to pick it up again. Every time I pick it up, you'll notice I just carefully put a cloth underneath it because it is hot. I don't want anybody to burn themselves, and I certainly don't. Being in a wheelchair, sitting down doing stuff, I'm always injuring myself with hot stuff, which is not great. That's why, one of the reasons I don't do any cooking, really, much cooking, because I have had a couple of bad accidents. Right, we are melting very nicely. We are nearly there. Right. One of the things just to note is that the essential oils have different flash points. Now, a flash point in sort of non-scientific-y terms is the temperature at which the goodness and the smells from the essential oils dissipate into there. They just, okay, flash, they're gone. So you do not want to put them in while it's too hot. What we do is we let it cool down, and then not cool down all the way. So I tend to let it cool down to about 50 degrees, 60 degrees, because the flash point for most of these is higher than 60 degrees Celsius. So they are going to be fine once it comes out of there to put the essential oil in. But I tend to leave it and put it in when I put the mixture into the beater. Right, we are nearly there. We have got one little lump left of shea butter from the looks of things. And then we can add in right, there we go. Look, we have got a nice clear liquid now. Little lump there, which we will put back on the stove and let it disappear. The incredible thing about this, we can do anything with this we want in the house. We have washed, we have clean shoes with it, polished boots with it, slightly different essential oils, but basically the same stuff. I do have a proper shoe polish recipe, and it's just got more beeswax in. But if this is all you had at home, you can put this on your furniture as furniture wax. You can put it on your handbags, your watch straps, your boots, your shoes, to keep them nice and shiny and clean. And put it on your skin, obviously. Literally, I mean, if you need oil for something, this is your go-to recipe. Just use it for everything. It's what I love about making my own stuff. There are no unnatural ingredients in it. So we are now melted. So this is the point at which we're going to put the mango butter, which has also got a little bit of the vitamin E oil. If you remember, we popped the vitamin E oil into there. So we're going to put that into our pot. And the heat from the other oils will melt the mango butter. It's also got a reasonably low melting temperature, which is quite good. So we pop that into there. If you can just see now on the camera there, you've got a nice big blob of mango butter melting in there. What can I say about some of the ingredients? You know, everything I've learned, I've probably forgotten. So I keep having to remind myself what the ingredients are good for. And most of them, as I said, I've forgotten. However, jojoba oil is the most pricey of all of them, I believe. But honestly, it's the best for your skin. I understand from the research that I've done that jojoba oil is the closest to your skin's sebum, I think. Serena will hopefully correct me. And so that absorbs into your skin very quickly and very easily, which is why it's such a lovely ingredient in this recipe. Now, it may not look like a lot, so what we've got here is around about 2 full cups of melted butters and oils. But once we've fluffed this up, then it makes about 5 or 6 tins, maybe a little bit more, of salve. So for anybody who didn't join us right in the beginning, I'll just remind you that you can make the salve at home with everything in from your kitchen. Pots, spatulas, anything. There's nothing in here that you can't use from your kitchen. It's not like soap making, and even then, honestly, I use some of the stuff, stainless steel stuff that is from my kitchen, and I just make sure it's well thoroughly cleaned. But this, just use what you've got on hand. And then, of course, the ingredients. If you're struggling or you don't have any of them, then I can happily put together a little pack with all of the ingredients measured out for you, and you can either collect it, or if one of our couriers from Headbands for Heroes UK is able to, or is in the area, I can perhaps ask them if they will do a little drop off for you if you're near Wigan or Bolton or one of the areas that they are from. Right, and that way you don't have to wait for your ingredients if you're buying them yourself. But if you're going to make this again, it's well worth buying your ingredients yourself. So we are done, peeps. So we have now got a lovely clear liquid, except for one tiny little blob of jojoba and not jojoba, mango butter, which will be gone in a second. And now that, sorry, let me put off the cooker, pop that down there, and just switch it off at the plug, and that can go away. Right, let's pop the hot water out of our way, and now we can take our bowl, which we put here earlier. Mine is a Kenwood Chef. Any mixer that has got a balloon whisk. I've tried Spade, K, Hooks, all of the others. They do not work. This is the only one that works. So don't try with the others. They really aren't any good. Well, I haven't found they're useful at all. But then again, I suppose it could be in the beginning I wasn't letting my oils cool down enough. Literally, this needs to go back to looking white or almost white, you know, opaque, before you do the next stage of the video, you know, the next stage of the mixture, which is in the next video. So I don't leave it in the pot because the stainless steel's cold, and the good thing about that is it'll help cool down the ingredients a little bit quicker. So let's get every last drop that we can of our valuable oils out of here and into the pot. And the nice thing about winter for salve making is that because I want it to get cold, I just have to put it by a door. Wherever the air is coming in from outside that is colder than inside because of the central heating, that is ideal. If you are doing this in summer, then I tend to pop the entire jug, bowl, whatever it is I'm using, pot if that's what you're using, into the freezer. Just don't forget about it. Just keep checking on it. So there we have it. Our ingredients are in there. The only ingredients left to go in now are the essential oils, which are, as you know, waiting in this little glass to go in. So that is going to go outside and cool off, and we will be back as soon as that has actually cooled off, and we'll set it into the blender and we will get it starting to froth up and show you what it looks like before we put it into our sterilized pots over there. So lovely to see you all, and I will catch up with you later. If you've got any questions, post them now, and then I can either answer them in the comments, or I can answer them when we come back for the next video as well. So thanks for tuning in, guys.